And welcome to an almost noir-ish edition of the Oddity Archive. Noir-ish in that, for one, everything is in black and white today, but also noir-ish in that there's just been kind of a film noir vibe to making this episode. As am I shooting this, and really for just about the entire production of this thing, we've been going through this freak heat wave around here, late summer heat wave, and some of the hottest, most humid stuff I've ever felt in my life, and certainly nothing I've felt this late in the season. But anyway, as such, I've been kind of feeling like, Sam Spade sitting in his office, just sweating. But unlike Sam Spade, where some beautiful woman is going to walk in at any minute and ask him to investigate a stolen item or a murder or something, I'm stuck investigating a stack of old half-inch open reel videotapes from the 70s. So anyway, on that note, fairly recently I got my Sony AV3600 back from an alignment and just an all-around checkup, whatever little repairs it might have needed that I couldn't provide myself. And so finally, in the, I think about 2.5 years that I've owned this machine now, it's finally fully, properly working, as you saw in the Pavand opening at the beginning. Now, of course, we're at the mercy of the recording of each person. No two decks are alike. No two are ever going to respond the same. So there are times where it's going to look like, oh, Benny boy, you need to adjust the tracking or you need to adjust the skew. No, these are the best passes at these that I could get. But anyway, getting back to the AV3600 and the whole noir thing, everything's in black and white. So I don't know if any of the tapes I'm covering today were in color. I have no way of finding out. But should the day come that I get my hands on a Sony AV8600 or 8650 and working at that, or an equivalent from another manufacturer, should that day come, I will take another look at these tapes. And if they did turn out to be in color, I will take another pass at them and repost. But as it stands, yeah, we're going truly grayscale today, if you will. So let's get down to business here. I've got 3 tapes that I want to cover properly, and one just that I want to touch on at the end of the episode. There isn't much to show for that one. So anyway, today's first tape, it comes to us from a school, some sort of school setting. And shock of shocks, I've accrued about 24 of these tapes now, and given that most of these machines were used in educational environments, about 8, I would say, maybe even closer to 10 of my tapes came from schools. But for the most part, it's middle or high school, and it's just somebody standing in the audience, in the auditorium, shooting that years or seasons or however that particular school did it, school play. Well, one tape stood out in that it seems to have come from a college, either that or these are some very, very mature-looking high school students. And instead of some predetermined play, these are original student-written and performed TV parodies. So with that, this is the tape that it comes from. I'm pretty sure these recordings all date to 1973, but I don't have any great way of confirming that. So what we're in for here is, one, a cooking show parody, and a cooking show in which you learn to cook a transistor radio, as opposed to building a kit. Hopefully the joke becomes a little more apparent in the little bit here. And then after that, we're going to be treated to, admittedly, I cut it down a little, but it's a commercial parody. And not only that, a mock record offer commercial, something we're certainly no strangers to here in Archive Land. So anyway, there is absolutely zero production value to these things. This is just the work of some kids screwing around, but there's a charm to it. It would have been nice if they would have rehearsed a little more, but it just wasn't gonna happen. So just enjoy these for what they are.
Hello, friends. Doesn't this transistor radio look good? Wouldn't you like one for your very own? Now, through the wonders of modern science and the cooking of Dunn Hines, you too can have one in just 4 easy steps with our new deluxe transistor radio mix. Watch now how we create just as you would at home. First, preheat your oven to 3,500 degrees or medium bake. Grease 3x5 pan generously. Then in a large bowl or wastebasket, combine mix with 1 1/3 cups of molten plastic of your favorite color with an equal amount of water and 2 egg whites. Beat 2 minutes at high speed, then 1 minute at medium speed, then 3 minutes at medium-low speed, then 1 minute at low speed, then 2 minutes at super slow, and 1 minute at off. Or if hand mixing, beat vigorously 6,437 times. Bake at preheated temperature for 4 days or until done. Radio is done if center springs back when touched with goldfish. It's done. Smell that aroma. Good. Cool radio in pan at least 10 minutes, but not more than 3 months. If cooling at altitudes of over 6 miles, wait until a ring appears around the edge. And here's the finished product. Listen to that sound. So go down and get yours today. You will run throughout
You probably remember that song from when we recorded it way back in '49. My name is Buck Payola, and these are the Buck Payola Kazoo Breakers. You can hear this song and other memorable tunes on our new great hit record, All-Time Kalamazoo Kazoo Hits. This double album contains many memories like that sentimental love ballad, The Girl with the 3 Blue Eyes. Who can forget? Wait, who can remember that wonderful tune, Garbage Truck Driving Man? Or that delicate love ballad, Let Me Stick My Roto-Rooter Into Your Sewer Honey Rag. Of course, maybe you don't remember that one. It never did get on the air. But you'll love it just the same. And you'll love every one of these 150 hits on this great double album. This is a one-of-a-kind offer that's available on LP and 5-track tape. Of course, we realize many of you folks don't have 5-track tape players, but then this is a one-of-a-kind offer, like I said. You may have seen this advertised in stores at only $6.95. Well, friends, through the miracle of television and modern merchandising, we can now offer this fabulous album at only $9.95. It's a great deal, and here's how to order yours.
Send money, no stamps, please, to Payola, Box 1515, 7835, 2967, La Paz, North Dakota. That's Payola, Box 1515, 7835, 2967, La Paz, North Dakota.
And if you order now, you can get this special double bonus album, Great Dwarf Hits of the 1920s and 70s.
What?
You'll hear great tunes like Dwarf Tide. Don't dwarf under the apple tree, and you always dwarf the one you love. Done by such great artists as Tommy Dorfy Orchestra, Benny Dorfman, and Dorf Miller. Also includes great contemporary hits like Can't You Hear Me Dwarfing and You Can't Always Dwarf What You Want. By the great contemporary classical kazoo breaker greats, the Dwarfing Stones. So order yours now.
Okay, let's jump back to the beginning of the EIAJ Type 1 video standard. So, here in North America, at least, as best as I can gather, the first recording decks of this ilk dropped in early 1970. Today's next tape dates to probably early 1970. Now, it may have actually been shot in late 69, but at the same time, it was shot professionally, and it was probably on the big 2-inch quadruplex tape, and then just bumped down to half-inch a little later on. But anyway, let me build this up a little bit before I really start diving in. This was a viewer donation last year, I believe, and it looked intriguing right from the get-go. I popped it on my machine pre-servicing to at least try and listen to it a little, and it seemed to be the pilot for a talk show. And as it turns out, I was very much right. We've got the, as it turns out, unsold pilot for a daytime TV talk show. It was up for syndication, and I had never heard of our hostess before. Now, at the same time, I am not into Broadway. I am not into stage musicals or the history of Broadway, so cut me some slack here. But I did look her up, and yeah, she seems to be fairly well known. That name would be Carol Lawrence. So yeah, we're going to be looking at the unsold pilot for the Carol Lawrence show here. Now, her main claim to fame was as the original Maria in the original stage version of West Side Story, and she was able to ride that for a pretty long time, it looks like. And I should note that Carol Lawrence, as of my making this, is still around and seemingly still at least a little active. But for whatever strange reason, she seems to have really wanted her own daytime TV talk show. She took at least 3 cracks at it over the years, and those are just the ones I know about. There might be more. So anyway, the first time around would have been seemingly in the spring of 1969. It did air, but it only lasted 1 episode, and I found some TV listings for it digging around online from May of 69. And it seems to have aired on a handful of mostly East Coast TV stations. Now, one of these stations, rather amusingly, took that 1 episode and just reran it over and over again as a time filler at whatever stray time slot, seemingly through the end of 1969. Now, this is the second version from either late 69 or early 70. I'm going to say early 70. And obviously that never amounted to anything. And then finally, years later, she did get an iteration of the Carol Lawrence show off the ground. It ran for a few years on TBN, Trinity Broadcasting Network, the big Christian network here in the States. And I found a whopping 5 minutes of that on YouTube. And if that 5 minutes was anything to go by, I would say you're not missing a damn thing. And as for the original spring of 69 show, yeah, shock of shocks, I couldn't find a second of footage of that. So anyway, as for this version, she borrowed the Mike Douglas show set. And I am not joking. They made zero effort to conceal the fact that this is usually the Mike Douglas show set. You can see his name on some of the set dressing when the camera is tilted just right. But anyway, Otherwise, Carol is joined throughout this whole mess by her then husband, Robert Goulet. And I get the sneaking suspicion that Bob kinda knew that this show was a turkey. And I'm hard-pressed to disagree. To be blunt, I found our hostess to be insufferable, said the jerk sitting behind the safety of his cardboard box. But anyway, what we're dealing with here is just this bizarre hybrid of, if you will, housewife, daytime TV talk stuff, a stab at more hard-hitting, heavy subject talk show, and just a total ego trip.
Can I go over here and sit on the boom or something?
Anywhere, sweetheart. Feel free. I have a feeling that beneath that little halo on your noble head, there lies a thought or two the devil might be interested to know. That's why you fascinate me so. So sermonize and preach to me. Make your sanctimonious little speech. Which one are we on? Here we go. I thought it might be fun if we just talk to each other and talk to the audience. Tell me, what is your real name? I know that Bob Goulet is your stage name. But what would you say?
Would you believe I've been put on by my wife? Because I was supposed to ask her that question, and she used it on me now. Because my real name is my real name, whatever I have,
You forgot it already? Right.
Your real name is La Raya.
Very
which
good.
is Laraia, which is Italian.
Very difficult.
And I...
Thank you. Isn't that pretty name? Our next guest.
You're stepping on your...
That's all right. Is also a very familiar face on television. He's been a producer of Broadway, television, movies, and I guess it's better to bring him out and let him say for himself what he's going to be doing next. Mr. David Susskind.
I really want to do motion pictures.
Yes.
I mean, I'd love to cut the umbilical cord with television. Its job now, it's doing the best it can, I think, in terms of selling product. It is an advertising medium, It's not an art form. Its job is to sell deodorants and detergents and soaps and automobiles and cigarettes. It is not art, and it doesn't aspire to be that. It aspires to popularity. And the most popular things tend to be the most escapist, frivolous things, you see.
Right. Yes, but when you look at the soap operas of today, there are some of the... I mean, you would never see abortion or, people living together in a nighttime show, but in the afternoon, it's perfectly acceptable.
Oh, in the afternoon...
On the soap operas.
The afternoon...
I don't understand that.
...is an orgy of rape and incest, abortion.
Isn't that true?
I'll tell you why. Because that's for the housewives.
Oh.
They love that. They just revel in it. And I found out, but you see, in the evening, when the husband is home, they play the other role, They won't allow
Not in
a
my
kiss
house.
that goes longer than 4 seconds. And how did you see what he did to him? She says, in the afternoon, they all did it together, but at night, she doesn't want that to happen in front of her husband.
I'm afraid we're at the end of our time. The show's gone so quickly, mostly because of you, David. Thank you so much for coming.
Him.
I do want to thank him because I couldn't have done it without my husband, Robert Goulet, and George Stavropoulos.
everybody seems to like it when I find off-air TV stuff, and I admit I like it too. But out of my roughly 24 tapes of this format that I've built up, only 3 of them were off-air. And so let's run them down. If you're a real regular Die-Hard Archive viewer, you've already seen the first one. It was in the last AV3600 update video I did a month or 2 ago now. And that was the Tonight Show tape with Rich Little filling in for Johnny Carson. And there's only like 6 minutes of that. So the second tape looked like it was going to be the all-time winner of any off-air tape I've ever found. So it was a rerun of the sitcom Hazel, but the whole thing only lasts like 45 seconds to a minute. We have one half of one commercial and about 30 seconds of that episode of Hazel. And it was recorded sometime in 1970. So after that minute or so of Hazel, we're thrown pretty mercilessly into a partial recording of the 1970 Hallmark Hall of Fame Richard Chamberlain chewing the damn scenery version of Hamlet. Commercials cut. Aired in November of 1970. I haven't let out a real good blood-curdling scream like I did at that tape in a really, really long time now. So that leaves us with my third tape. It's only a half-hour tape, and whoever recorded it only used maybe about half of it. But we're treated to some excerpts from Los Angeles local news broadcasts, all seemingly recorded on the same day. And that date would be roughly July 20th, 1973. And one of those excerpts actually has a complete commercial break on it. So here's the tape. And before you ask, yes, I will post this stuff to Annex. Most everything you'll see in today's episode is going to Annex. But anyway, here it is. And yeah, the big story in LA that day would have been about this woefully impractical stab at mass rapid transit. Absurd, really, to the point where the person that came up with this had to have been not only high as a damn kite, but also probably binging on reruns of the Jetsons.
This is a scale model of what is known as Personal Rapid Transit, or PRT. It is, as the name implies, like traveling in a private automobile. Each car is for the sole use of each rider. By a computer system, the car takes the passenger to his or her destination non-stop. If there are several members of the traveling party, each car holds up to 6 passengers. This is a superimposed photograph of the PRT as it would look in downtown Los Angeles. And today, Councilman Joel Wax proposed building it here, saying it is vastly superior to the train-type rapid transits currently being considered.
It's the only system that is really going to work in this city. And why I say that, it's the only system that is more desirable than the automobile. It's accessible to everyone within walking distance of their house, and it's like a car. It goes nonstop, it's private, it's safe, and it doesn't require transfers or other methods of transportation. This system not only builds the linear lines like the trains and subways, but it also has a local grid system within 1/4 mile walking distance of every single one's house, running down every arterial street in the city, so that you just get to a car, press the button, and go without anyone else getting on, nonstop to where you want to go, just as you would in an automobile. That is the only thing that is going to take a person away from his car and make him use rapid transit.
The object of the PRT, or any other rapid transit system, is to get the cars off the road and the smog out of the air. And the question here is, which system will do that best? Ken Kashiwahara, Channel 7 Eyewitness News in downtown Los Angeles.
During a news conference today, Mayor Tom Bradley said that he is ensured the technology for the PRT system has been developed enough for practical use.
Well, if Councilman Wax And Mayor Tom Bradley, as he suggested today, that while Los Angeles awaits rapid transit, it should immediately install a broad range of programs to improve mobility. His proposed plans include park and ride special bus lanes, and of course there's even a better way: just live at your office.
More than 65,000 California cannery workers are on strike tonight, a move that obviously threatens to drive food prices even higher. Contract negotiations will continue tomorrow in Washington with the help of a federal mediator. But canners say $200 million worth of tomatoes, pears, and peaches may be lost immediately. Hold on to your shopping carts. The wholesale price of food has just blasted off the Phase 4 launch pad. When we continue, the story of your appetite, your pocketbook, and the disaster in between.
Take Sizzler's thick, juicy steak. Add tender, deep-sea lobster, and you've got the Sizzler's Steak and Lobster Special for only $2.99. From first bite to last, tender, juicy, buttery good. Now that's a special at $2.99 at the Sizzler.
United States National Bank?
Oh, yes.
I'm here for the 2 packages.
Packages. Oh, our 2 packages of services. One for savers with things like Gold Club and Save Insurance. The other for checkers with services like Frugal Check and Bonus Balance. Those are our 2 packages.
Swell. These are my 2 packages.
2 packages. Oh, I'm really sorry.
That's okay. I'll be right back for your 2 packages.
United States National Bank, where everything starts with you.
Probably to the surprise of no one, wholesale prices in poultry, pork, produce, milk, and other perishables have already begun to soar, just 24 hours after President Nixon took the lid off prices. The wholesale increases are a signal to consumers that it will only be a matter of days before they will see similar hikes in supermarket prices. Agriculture Secretary Earl Butz, however, insists that price increases will be moderate.
So the president took this action to encourage more production. And as he said, it's going to mean slightly higher prices of some commodities.
Joan Sheets of Fight Inflation Together had this comment.
Our decision to continue with the Don't Buy Anything Day on Tuesday, August 7th, in which we are asking persons to stay away from all stores. Don't buy anything. Take your normal shopping time and write letters to Washington, D.C., and let them know of your unhappiness and the fact that Washington is not responding to the consumer's needs.
Reaction from economists to the Phase 4 program has been mixed. Walter Heller is the former chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors for President Johnson and now teaches at the University of Minnesota. And he says, wait and see.
To lead us into the end credits today, as one might expect, I found a few home movies amongst my 24-ish tapes. And I mean, proper home movie shot in the living room sort of thing. So, if I remember to, come Christmas time, I will post one of these tapes to annex. It's Christmas morning, 1974, with quite possibly the world's most irritating family. But as for today, I want to close things out with, well, let me put it this way. I don't think this episode is going to get seen outside of my real regular die-hard viewers, so I'm going to take the gamble here and guess that the YouTube gods are not going to let this one outside of the immediate sphere. And I'm going to show a little bit of something quite nice. One of my little glimpses of humanity that I give occasionally. That occasional showing that I'm not a completely heartless bastard. So, with that, to close things out, we're going to hit up this tape. And no, this is not the same one from the last segment, but it is from the same batch. So, what we have here, and it takes up most of this tape, it was shot probably somewhere in the 1973 to 76 range, if the rest of the tapes in this lot were anything to go by. But it's of a young mother and her fairly newborn child sitting in the rocking chair and right next to the window, and it's a real nice, bright, calm, sunny day. And funnily enough, it is not dated at all. Mom's hairstyle and clothes and stuff and the decor of the house are so basic that it could have been shot kind of any time between like 1970 and now. But anyway, yeah, let's close things out with one of our rare moments of nice in archive land. Otherwise, that's it for today's archive. Join me next time when my heart turns black again. Just in time to shoot some more of these box segments.